Internet baby. An acquaintance dressed in a sexy outfit that ordinary people notice walks up to me, and we start chatting. Her, what's your family background? Where are they from? Me, Czech Republic. Her, I've never been with a Czech guy, locks eyes with me and says, I'd like to try that. Me, you should, we're awesome. Once a girl I was acquainted with sat on my lap at a party and stayed there for half an hour talking about her day and asking me questions. Then she left, and my friends made fun of me for not picking up the advance. I thought she couldn't find anywhere else to sit. She told my friend a few days later that I hurt her feelings by not being more receptive to her. She thought I was cold on purpose because I didn't like her. She asked me if we can continue to talk in my bed. So I just kept talking in the bed. Now, at least she was good at listening. When I was about 18, I was sleeping over at the place of the girl I'd had a crush on for years. As I went to sleep on the couch, she said, you could sleep here in the bed if you want. Her bed that she was currently in. I honestly have no idea what happened inside my brain at that point, but no, the couch isn't so bad as what it came up with. I don't know if this was necessarily sexual, but it was me missing an obvious sign. There was a beautiful girl that I was very interested in college. We had the same major, so we shared a lot of classes. One day she and I are talking, and she says, we should get together and study at my place. I can make dinner and everything. I replied with something like, oh, that'd be really nice and sounds like fun. Our class is small enough that we could probably invite everyone. Do you want to do it? Ha, ha. Sarah, don't tease me. Goes to bed. I was a lifeguard in high school. I had a girl ask me if I could teach her mouth-to-mouth sometime and winked at me. I told her she should just sign up for a first aid course. She was a coworker, and we have the type of relationship where we can say fucked up shit and laugh about it. One time we were both on shift, and I was about to leave. She asked what I was planning to do later. Me jokingly, probably go home and jerk off. Her in a softer voice, oh, did you need any help with that? Me, no thanks, I'm pretty good at it. At the time, I thought she was just playing into the conversation. I found out a long time later from one of her friends that she was serious and also really disappointed. I'm sorry. In my early 20s, I went out with a woman who was a friend of a friend. The date went well, and at the end of the night, we were heavily making out on her sofa. She suddenly pulls back and says, it's getting late, we should go to bed. I say, oh, okay. Well, I had fun tonight. Thanks for a great evening. I'd really like to get together again soon. As soon as I got home, I heard it. One word. It echoed in the hollowness of my skull and kept increasing in volume until all that was left in the world was my stupidity and that word. We. I was at a party and this cute girl kept on finding reasons to talk to me the whole night. I just thought, wow, she's so friendly. And never picked up on the flirting. Toward the end of the night it's just the two of us alone and we get on the subject of injuries and surgeries. Turns out we both had to have hernia surgery, which involves an incision near the groin. At this point she says actually, you can still feel the scar and takes my hand and puts it down her pants. I told her that I could not feel the scar and her doctor must have done a good job. She removed my hand and just walked away. Didn't hit me until I was driving home an hour later. I just assumed she was overly friendly and comfortable with her body. Not my story, but my buddy was once invited back to her place after the pub for coffee. When he got there she said that she didn't actually have any coffee, so he apologized for misunderstanding and left. Told this one before, but when my dad was young he was sitting outside with a girl after a party. She asked him if he wanted to go back to his place and make pancakes. He told her he was out of eggs. In university, living in residence. Down in the first floor common area hanging out with friends. I'm giving a piggyback ride to a really cute girl. She. Why don't you carry my up to my room me? Guys aren't allowed on the girls' floor. I give her another ride around the common room instead. Was my partner in science and business classes in high school. Invited me to her family's cabin for a weekend. Just her and me. I asked about a friend, and she said no, just the two of us. I never got back with her, and kind of forgot about it until a couple years later, when she pointed out the obvious. Oh yeah, then there was also the co-worker that I was working alone with on Valentine's Day who had just finalized her divorce, and how it was her first Valentine's Day alone in a long time. When she came back from lunch she gave me one of those giant Hershey kisses, and when I hugged her to thank her, she kissed my neck. Then I smiled at her, apologized for not getting her anything, and got back to work. Looking back we both laugh about it now. She and her sister went out with a group of us on a camping trip. I was up at 1 a.m. tending to the fire as I could not sleep when she stuck her head out of her tent and called me over. I entered her tent, and she was naked in the doggy position looking for her phone, and asked me to help her look for it. I ignored the fact she was naked, didn't really even look at her, and found her phone, and handed it to her. She asked me to stay as I'm scared of the woods and I flat out said bull crap. You live in a cabin 8 miles into the woods. You're not scared. We are engaged now. At a James Bond theme party, girl says to me, you could be my Goldfinger, and I could be your pussy galore. Me? Ha, good pun. Came back from a dinner with some friends in my car, one of which was my friend's sister. She clearly points me out, and asks what I'm doing after, and asks if I want to come hang out with her, and have a couple drinks at her place. What do I say? No, that's okay, I'm going to go back, and watch some Mulan. I wondered why everyone else in the car got really quiet after that. In short, drunk me manages to ignore his thrown underwear. People used to crash over at my place all the time, last house before a long road to the next town. Girl asked to stay over, which was normal and fine. I was locking up the house while she went up to my room. She already laid down in my bed, which was unusual but fine by me. Normally I would take one of the 2 mattresses of my bed for people to sleep on. Now here comes the kicker. This girl, while laying under the covers, tosses her underwear into the room, while saying she wanted them to stay clean for the next morning, and my drunk ass goes yup, that makes sense, and proceeds to grab a pajama and hand it to her. Drunk me is not a very bright man. This beautiful girl invited me over. She was trashed and heartbroken, and I just wanted her to be happy. She was a friend, you know. I think the height of that evening was, I'm wearing matching underwear, to which I replied, geez, so organized. At night, she climbs into bed and peeled the cover back. So, I picked up a stuffed animal on the floor thinking that's what she wanted. And I slept on the floor. Went out for drinks with a former co-worker to catch up. I'm pretty sure at some point she straight up asked, do you want to have sex? But it was so loud out I just kinda stared back and said, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, the cars driving by are so fucking loud. She said it again, and again I couldn't hear, so I literally stood up and leaned over the table, and said, one more time please. She changed topics. Still had a fun evening. The girl told me multiple times she thought of us like Eric and Donna from that 70s show. All my dumb teenage brain could think was, this is inaccurate, I don't smoke weed. Never mind that Eric and Donna were fucking for half of the show. At least, I think that's what she meant. Still not sure. In high school I had $1 I was going to use for something food related. She snatched it and put it down her shirt and told me, if I wanted it, I would have to go get it. It was about 6 years later I recalled that moment and realized a missed opportunity. I have many such stories. As a young man I seemed to always operate on the assumption that there was no way a girl could really be interested in me. The one that comes to mind is when I took a girl out in college. I dropped her off at her place and we kissed. She looked at me and said, my roommate is gone for the weekend, I have the room all to myself. I replied, you're lucky, I'm in a triple, so I never have my room to myself. Well, good night. After a night out at the pub, she, wanna come up for a coffee? Me, it's a bit late for coffee, I have to be able to wake up in the morning for work. I did not get what she was going at all. Another night out, she, wanna see my place and have a cup of tea. Now here I actually did go back to her place for a cup of tea. She showed off her sweet bathtub and her bedroom. We had a cup of tea and talked for a bit, and then it was getting really late, so I left. Another night out, she, damn, I missed the train, could I sleep at your place? Me, yes, ofk. So we went back to my place, changed the sheets in bed for her to sleep in, and I slept on the sofa. There's so many more, and probably way more, that I've just been too damn oblivious to see. I went to a concert with a friend, and there was this really cute girl there who was definitely my type, like she stood out in the crowd to me. But she was there with 3 guys, so not likely I'd get a chance, even if I wanted to try talking to her. The headliner's set started, and that girl walked up to stand next to me, without the guys, I think. She leaned over and made a joke. We talked a little and laughed, but I didn't want to force her to keep talking while the band she was there to see was playing. Then she talked to me more. We got along great and joked around a little, but I didn't want to obligate her to miss the band playing. Then she kept talking to me, and I kept reacting the same way out of politeness. Eventually she just walked away and I went, oh, god damn it. And mentally repeated god damn it for about 4 days straight. My husband was my friend of over 15 years before we started dating. He was super popular and hot in high school, where we met. I was super large and a few grades younger than him, and he was in a relationship for like 10 years, so it was always just friends. I definitely didn't stand a chance. When we both moved to law 7 years later, and were both single, we hung out a lot and got closer. One night, we were drinking, and it was late, and he just tells me how awesome I am, and plants a huge smacker on my lips. I suddenly revert to a 15-year-old with no self-esteem, and think there's no way he's into me. That must have been a friend kiss. A friend kiss? Like, what is that? I scared him away for like 2 months, where he thought I wasn't into him, but eventually he tried again and it clicked. He's my best dude and now my husband, and the nicest person I know, and I'm so glad friend kisses don't really exist. I was drunkenly asleep on a mate's sofa after a party, then some naked girl climbs on top of me. I wake up and realize my bladder is about to explode, excuse myself and gently push her aside. When I come back, I mumble to myself, still half asleep, that sofa is way too small for 2 people. Then I go back to sleep on the other now empty sofa. My mate was quite amused telling me about it the next day. Virgin me was less amused. Back in college, I was jokingly complaining to a good friend of mine that I never get any love letters on Valentine's Day. She said, well, I know someone who is in love with you. I demanded her to tell me who, and she turned bright red and wouldn't say anything else. Later that semester, she asked me out for coffee, so I agreed. We had a great time chatting about life and had a fun time, just like hanging out with any other friend. Weirdly, she stopped really speaking to me after that. There were many other encounters along those lines, but it took me about 3 years to realize that she had a huge crush on me, and I was too much of an idiot to notice. Some girl asked me if I wanted to get drunk at her house and watch her do pilates. I said no, and realized my error when I got back home. She, hey, do you want to have sex? Me, oh, I would love to. It's just hard to find a girl who likes me. True story. The other day I heard someone say a girl who puts the bottom of her chin against your chest is absolutely willing to fuck you. I was brought back to high school, where this girl Candace did that to me. I remember I said something funny, and in a fit of laughter she collapsed into me like that. I thought back some more about another weird encounter with her. A short time after, she'd be sitting at my table at lunch, next to my friend Brittany. My friend Brittany tells me very deliberately that she thinks I should get laid, that I need it. She looks all around the lunchroom, going hum. Then she points at Candace and goes, you should fuck Candace. Candace looks at me, smiling but worried. Smiling and worried. I immediately thought she was hoping I wouldn't want to, and smiling, because she didn't want me to see the dread. I'm like her, I'm so tall, and she's so short, I'd break her. She immediately looked sad after, and my assumption was that she was hoping I wouldn't notice how disgusted she seemed by the idea, and that she noticed me covering for her. I was uncomfortable for her, just cause Brittany shouldn't have done that without provocation. Hey dipshit. She provoked your friend Brittany, the horrible actress, to wingman for her. Nobody lands softly on your chest and looks up into your eyes because you're funny. She wanted you to break her. I went out to Vietnamese food for dinner with this girl I knew from school. Date was going great, flirting, teasing each other, that sort of thing. At one point, I jeered her a bit for being late, and she responds that she was showering. I jokingly say, oh come on, how long can that take? She goes, well, I like to be completely hairless, and that takes time. That caught me pretty off guard, so I laughed it off in a sort of stunned amusement, thinking, why did she tell me that? Yay, I wonder why. Well, we keep talking and the date's still going great. Eventually we leave, and I walk her to her apartment. We arrive, at which point I'm thinking this is where we part ways. As we're finishing our conversation, she goes, "Oh, so you can come up to my room to hang out, I'll just be studying." Here's where I do the usual guy thing. I think she's just being nice and say no. Besides, she's gonna be studying so I shouldn't disturb her anyway, so thinks my empty head. I think she mentioned it one more time to really make future me wince, and I again decline. So we say goodbye and go on our merry ways. What really kills me now, maybe more so than what I just shared, is that I felt pretty self-satisfied as I was walking home. The whole walk back, I thought how that shaving line and her asking me up sure were pretty weird, but probably nothing. I feel great about this night. So yay, a girl told me she shaved her pussy for me, and I said, yay, she's just being nice. A longtime friend had come to visit me. We lived about 50 miles apart at the time, and after a few drinks insisted she wanted to stay the night. I say sure, stay the night, sleep anywhere you like. Her reply was something along the lines of, is sleeping in bed with you okay? I've known her for many years, and she is one of my best friends, so the idea of sleeping with her honestly never crossed my mind. So without hesitation I tell her that's probably the most comfortable place, and I'm totally fine with it. I start changing for bed, but leave a t-shirt on as to not make things uncomfortable and hop onto one side of the bed. My friend, who is an easy 9/10, comes into my room in just her panties on and says something along the lines of, hopefully you don't mind, it's kinda hot in here. Instead of cluing in at this point, I thought to myself, damn, she's right, it is kinda hot. So I then took my shirt off, got up, flicked off the lights, and told her she could have one of the 2 blankets. No sex was had, and I often still look back on that night and wonder if I am secretly gay, or just not so secretly a complete buffoon.